Have you heard the term brand ambassador thrown around and wondered what exactly people are talking about? And well, how do you go about becoming one? Today's episode is definitely for you then, because we're diving into what exactly is a brand ambassador. How do you go about making those and creating those relationships with brands so that you can make long-term income on sponsored campaigns? I also want to make sure that I let you know to make sure that you grab my pitch cheat sheet, because the very first step of becoming a brand ambassador is building relationships and letting them know that you're interested in their brand. So make sure that you grab that down in the description below. All right, guys, let's dive in. Have you wondered what exactly a brand ambassador is? Well, today I'm going to make sure that we dive into specifically what is a brand ambassador, as well as we're going to answer some of the important factors that affect it and answer some of the questions that you probably have about if you did get a brand ambassadorship, what exactly would that look like? What could you possibly expect to see as a brand ambassador? All right, so let's talk about first the definition of a brand ambassador, okay? If you were to do a Google search, a brand ambassador is considered a person, especially a celebrity, who is paid to endorse or promote a particular company's products or services. Now, personally, I feel that they need to update the definition that you can find on a website, because doesn't necessarily need to be paid. Many people will talk about that a brand ambassador could actually be an employee of a company. If they truly believe in that company, they very well could be a brand ambassador for it. So when we're talking about this, I wouldn't just simply talk about it as thinking about as far as that it just has to be paid, because sometimes a brand ambassador can be something that is just given via product. And I know that a lot of influencers will come to me and say, but I want to get paid. And I understand that. And there is definitely some negotiation, and it often needs to take place. And you need to be able to articulate why you are valuable to them. So one of the first things that this comes down to is, if you notice, the definition talked about a celebrity. A celebrity is considered an influencer, a macro influencer. Majority of us are considered micro influencers. I love you all, and I'm not trying to put you down at any means. If you are seeing under 1 million for any social media platform, so if you don't have, let me actually change that. If you don't have a social media platform where you see 1 million either page views on your site or 1 million followers, you're considered a micro influencer. There is nothing wrong with that. And I can tell you this, I am a micro influencer, have always been, and will always be. But I was able to make 5 figures off of sponsored post income. So just because you're considered a micro influencer does not mean that you can't get paid to work on sponsored campaigns, okay? So let's talk a little bit more about exactly what a brand ambassador is going to go into, right? What are some of the important factors affecting a brand ambassador? So you have to start off with the question of, what are the expectations? What exactly does the brand, so that the brand, when I talk brand, because there was some confusion from a listener that was listening to my podcast that seemed to think that I was talking about brand as a influencer, your brand. When I use the word brand, I'm talking about a brand that actually has like a big name product. So Kraft is a brand. Anything that you purchase is to use to create your projects or recipes, that's a brand. So just so that we're all on the same page, I don't want anyone getting upset with me when I use the word brand and thinking that I'm telling you that you're not a brand. You can build your own brand. But when I'm talking about it, I'm talking about the products or services that you would purchase in order to make a product or service, okay? Or to make not a product or service, but to make a actually project that you're working on, or recipe, for example. All right, so if we're talking about the expectations, one of the questions that I would definitely make sure I ask is, how long is it for? Are we going to be working together as a brand ambassador for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year? What are we looking at when we're talking about this? And this is all something that has to go into a contract, okay? There also, you need to figure out and ask the brand, is there exclusivity? Because if there is, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for you to work with other brands, obviously, especially if they're competitors. So when you're looking at exclusivity, you're going to want to increase your price for the amount of time that you're going to give them that exclusivity, because maybe you would have worked with one of their competitors, especially if there's one of these big brands. Like let's say P&G comes to you and they want exclusivity for 6 months. That means that you can't compete with any of their products that P&G carries, which is going to limit what you could probably normally do. So you have to actually weigh that into the price that you would ask. So you again, have that conversation. You also are going to want to ask what are the deliverables by the influencer, so by you, as well as by the brand, okay? Because it is likely that the brand is going to be expected to provide you with product so that you can continuously be creating recipes or creating projects using their product. And as far as the deliverables by an influencer, that is going to come in when you decide on your pricing. So a lot of times I will get influencers that will come to me and say, how do I price this? Well, what is it that they're asking for? Are they asking for a blog post monthly that also includes social shares? Are they asking for Instagram stories or video or live broadcasting? This all should come into play in your price. Now, a lot of times when you are working on the price for a proposal of this kind of size, you want to think about, like, if you would normally charge for one blog post, social shares, and maybe let's say you're going to throw in, let's not even throw in anything extra, which is not what I teach in Pitch Perfect Pro. You normally want to throw in something extra so that you up your price and have room to negotiate. But let's say you were just going to do a blog post with social shares, right? And you normally charge $1,000 for that. Let's just say, I'm just picking even numbers to make the math easy for me, okay? If it was $1,000 and now they're signing you on for 6 months where they're looking for you to do 6 blog posts over 6 months, you might want to think about giving them a little bit of a discount on that $1,000. So maybe now you're going to do a blog post with social shares for $800. But if they're asking for exclusivity, you need to then factor in how many other posts you might be missing out on. You need to start to think about exactly how long this could affect your bottom line with working with other brands, okay? So when you are looking at the specific factors that affect it, you need to have answers as far as this. And a lot of times I'll get asked by students at Pitch Perfect Pro or even just podcast listeners, hey, can you take a look at my contract and tell me what the brand is asking me? And then you will always get me with kind of going, nope. That is not something that I can do. I do not play a lawyer on TV, and I am not a lawyer. I do not have a law degree. If you're looking for someone to look at a contract, you need a lawyer, and there are plenty of lawyers out there. So definitely make sure that you seek out the right people for that. There's always things that you're going to want to look at, and the biggest thing is going to be exclusivity. And the other thing that bloggers are definitely seeing in contracts now are rights. So make sure you know whether or not they are asking for rights for your photos, because if they are asking for rights for your photos, that means that they could take your photo and put it on a billboard in New York City. And if it has your kids on it, they can do it. So you need to be charging for that, and you also need to be comfortable with that. So just keep that in mind when you're starting to try to figure out pricing and what that might look like when you are factoring in that it is a brand ambassadorship. A brand ambassadorship is always a great thing because it's something that's consistency for you, right? You're not wondering how long, am I going to be able to work with them again? They're signing you to a contract that's more long-term. Okay. All right. The other thing, a factor that goes into this is how is the brand measuring success? And I think this is a question that a lot of bloggers and influencers have because they're not sure exactly what the brand is looking for. They assume, oh, well, they want page views, they want shares, they want this, they want that. You need to have a conversation with the brand that you are working with. You want to know what are the brand's KPIs. And KPIs are key performance indicators. And when you're looking at a key performance indicator for a brand, it's often, sometimes they want clicks to their website. Sometimes they want their numbers maybe to grow on Instagram. For Bloggers, we are looking for engagement. That is our KPI. That is what we are looking for in order to measure whether or not the campaign is successful for ourselves. And it's what we should start tracking, whether it's a sponsored post or non-sponsored post. You want to have an idea that when you talk to a brand that, hey, I normally get 13 engagements, or I get 57 engagements, whatever it might be. You want to start to be able to tell them this so they have an idea. So one of the questions I'm guessing that you're probably asking right now is, what exactly is an engagement? Engagement is a like, a share, or a comment. So you want to be driving this as much as possible, and you want to find a way to be able to track it, especially if you're using Instagram with stories. Stories, obviously, they expire after 24 hours, but you can get that data, and you want to make sure that you are using it. Instagram, when you have a business account, gives you a ton of great information, and you want to make sure that you are putting it into when you provide the brand with your data. That should be a component of it if you did Instagram stories. And if you're not doing Instagram stories, guys, get your butt on Instagram stories. There's plenty of content on the podcast that went into trainings on Instagram stories. It is something so valuable right now that all brands are really looking for. So don't waste time on it. Figure it out, get on there and try it out, because it is something that can help improve your engagement, not only for a sponsored campaign, but also with your audience. Really understanding what are they coming to you for, so that when you're trying to grow your page views, which I know so many of us focus on way too much, but when we are trying to grow our page views, you have to know what is going to continue to attract your audience. And if you are engaging with them via Instagram stories, they will tell you. You can do a poll. What do you want to see? You can ask them questions. They can ask you questions. There's just so much more engagement on there that I cannot stress it enough, that you spend some time taking a look at Instagram and how you can possibly work it. I did a recent podcast episode with Tyler J. McCall, and he really gave away some great information about Instagram stories and how to make sure to engage with your followers. So definitely take a listen to that podcast episode. Okay, the other part of this success is measured. Not only is that you need to be authentic, and that's how you're going to get that engagement. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I was probably live just a little bit ago. And I am starting to use a phrase that I think that can kind of help us all figure out what makes us unique, what makes us different. And that is that I need you to be a perfectly unique snowflake. Every snowflake is different, right? We know that. We learned that in school. Your kids make snowflakes during Christmas and they come out with all these different little snowflake patterns, right? We know that it makes us unique, that a snowflake is unique. We need to find the ways in which we are unique as well, because I'm going to tell you this right now. That is what a brand is looking for. They are looking for someone that is so authentic and so much of a snowflake that their audience knows exactly what to expect from them. Their audience is going to want to hop on Instagram Live the second they are live, or go to Facebook. They're going to listen to what that micro influencer asks them and tells them what to do. So that when a brand is looking for a KPI of clicking through to a website or following this brand on Instagram, they're going to be able to see that that is taking place, because their audience follows and does what that micro influencer is asking them to do. And that is a huge part of this. This is also a huge part. And if you haven't seen my Instagram Live where I kind of went off and really dove into this, make sure you head over to Instagram after this training or after listening to the podcast and go to @Jenny_Melrose, which is my Instagram account. I did a live where I really talked about this fact, because what's happening is I'm seeing a lot of people starting to talk about how they're being bullied, how they are being told that they are creating someone else's recipe because it has the same name, not the same ingredients, pictures are totally different. You have to just be confident in yourself and be unique and not worry about what others are doing and saying, and just be you, because that is what brands are looking for. And it's not just brands, it's your audience. Your audience could go to Joe, Lynn, and Sarah down the road with their websites and go check out those recipes, but they're coming to you for your recipes and your stories. Tell your story. Let them in. Let them see the crazy. You guys, the people that grow the fastest on Instagram right now are not those that have the perfect feeds. At least I don't believe that that's the case. I believe that the people that are growing the fastest and seeing the most engagement are those that let people behind the scenes and do Instagram stories where they show the crazy. People are tired of seeing the perfect. When they think that everything is cookie cutter perfect and you have the white picket fence, you may have the white picket fence. There's nothing wrong with that. But when that's all that they can see and they think that it's just the perfect, it doesn't let them in. It doesn't make you feel real to them. They're not going to be able to feel like they can trust you with their problems. And that's what you're there for, right? We all created this because we wanted to share a hobby, share a passion, share something because we thought we had something valuable to offer to other people. Get back to why you started this. Get back to your roots of creating content because you wanted to help people, not because you wanted to have 1 million page views and make $1 million. We all obviously want to be able to make an income from this. That is the whole purpose of Influencer Entrepreneurs, the podcast. It is so that you can start treating your business like a business. But I'm telling you this right now, if you start to concentrate on helping people rather than concentrating on growing your page views and making money, you will actually see that your money will increase, your page views will increase, and your audience will actually increase as well. Because they're going to know it's you. They're going to be authentic. And guys, that's what brands are looking for. Don't let them tell you they're looking for the influencer with 1 million page views, because here's the thing. If that brand is looking for that influencer that has 1 million page views or has a huge following, they may not understand the value that you as a micro-influencer bring to the table. They need to get in now because you're going to continue to grow if you are being authentic to yourself and being that unique snowflake. So I really want to make sure that when you are thinking about what exactly a brand ambassador should look like, how could I work with brands this way? First, you want to start off, obviously, with being able to work with a brand once and develop that relationship. And sometimes, you guys, a brand ambassadorship does not include payment. Sometimes it includes product. Sometimes it includes a line of suitcases for your entire family quarterly. That could be a brand ambassadorship. You could be a brand ambassador for sandals. Heck, I'd take sandals without any payment. You want to send me as a brand ambassador to all different sandals across the country? Who's with me? You jumping in my luggage? Seriously though. So just because we think of this word brand ambassador and everyone, oh, that's what I want. You can build that own. They may never call it a brand ambassador. I call it a long-term contract. I call it, you're signing up for me to do 3 posts over the next 3 months. I don't need to have the word brand ambassador used by the brand. I know that I have a long-term consistent relationship with them. And that is really what they're looking for. So I know a lot of people get caught up on this whole brand ambassador and it's so wonderful. And I want to be a brand ambassador for this person and that person and this person. Just be you. Be you. Show them how you're unique. Show them and start off by reaching out to the brands that you know, use, and love. So you're going to notice that up in the top is my pitch checklist that is there because the very first step of this is to let them know that you're out there. They don't know that you're out there unless you're reaching out to them. So make sure you download the pitch cheat sheet. It's going to walk you through exactly what your pitch should look like. It gives you my swipe copy so that you can see what my pitch looks like. Obviously, make it unique to you because that's the whole pitch. That's what makes you a snowflake. So I appreciate you guys so much for joining in live with me. If you're listening to the podcast, I appreciate you listening to me wherever you are. All right, guys, go be a snowflake. As you can see, being a brand ambassador is more than just building that relationship. It's about making sure that you know how you are unique and authentic. So I hope that you found this valuable. Make sure that you like the video below so that I can make sure that I continue to create this kind of content for you. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. All right, guys, I will talk to y'all soon.